One of the best parts about summer is spending time with family and friends. This week, we went over to some families to help catch chickens and butcher them to put in their freezer for this fall and winter. It's great when we can lend a hand to family and friends, but they also are always so willing to lend us a hand. My sister in law has wonderful grapes, and they were ripe for the taking this day as well. So, of course, I brought my bucket and my gloves and got to work in her fun little fruit garden. Now that the grapes are all picked, we are ready to can grape juice. Now, there's probably a lot of other things people do with grapes, like maybe making jams or jellies or whatnot, but we almost always use our grapes to make grape juice. This is one of the easiest things to can and so delicious. It's one of our favorite treats to have with our Sunday dinners. The kids are always so excited to go down into the storage cupboard and pick out a jar of grape juice for dinner. One of my biggest canning tips is to make sure that your kitchen is clean before you start. If you start with a dirty kitchen, it just gets dirtier and dirtier and dirtier as you go. If it's already clean, you can focus on what you're canning and you can get that done a lot faster. So my sink is all clean, my jars are all clean, and I'm ready to get my juicer ready. So if you have never used a steam juicer, it comes in 3 pieces. There's the bottom piece, which is what holds the water. And this water will come to a boil, and this is what will create the steam that will release the juices from the fruit. Then there is the pot, and the pot has this tube on the end, and that's what's actually going to hold or pour the juice into the jars. And then there's the basket, and the basket is where the fruit will actually go, and the basket keeps the fruit and the juice separate. And then you have a little clamp, and then you have a lid that goes on top. So I have placed all of my grapes here into the sink, and I'm just kind of rinsing them off, and then I'm going to get them right into the juicer. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of my tips and tricks for juicing grapes, but I'll also add a link to the full tutorial on how to make grape juice. It's, like I said, a really, really simple process, and it just takes a little bit of time. So I've got my first batch of grapes in here, and I'm just putting the lid on, and then I'm just going to let them simmer. So as we start steaming our grapes that we picked for my sister-in-law's house yesterday, there's a couple of things of note that I want to mention to you. We do have an entire video on how to steam juice grapes, and I will leave a link down in the description for you so you can check out the entire process step by step, as well as print off the recipe if you're interested. But some things that I do want to point out. First off, when we can or when we juice our grapes, we don't take them off of the stems. We actually leave the stems on. This is kind of a personal preference. We've never had an issue leaving the stems on. It does change the flavor of the juice. It's maybe not quite as sweet. Maybe it has a little bitter notes to it, but it's not enough that it's made me want to take off each individual grape and juice that way. This method just makes it really, really fast. The second thing I want to make note of is the steam juicer is very, very hot. So it will juice the grapes down, and then the juice will come out of this tube, and it is piping hot. So that being said, you want to make sure that your jars
are hot as well, because if you're putting hot juice into cold jars, you can crack your jars. So I usually will put hot water into my sink, place my sanitized jars into that hot water until I'm ready to use it, because the juicing process takes a little bit and you can't fill all your jars at once typically. You'll have to do a few at a time, and then more juice will come out, and a few at a time, etc. So that's number 2. Now the third one is a suggestion. If you want to be safe, on the safe side when we're talking about canning your juice, some people will put the juice in the jars, put the lids on top, put them on their countertop, and let those lids seal based on the heat of that grape juice. I've done that before. But if you want to be extra safe, make sure that you water bath can those jars of juice for 10 minutes in a water bath, hot boiling water bath, before you put them on your countertop for 24 hours. That way you're just ensuring any additional bacteria that might be in that juice is killed, or anything that might have been on those jars. So those are just kind of 3 of the most important things you need to know. And like I said, I'll leave a link down in the description for how to steam juice your grapes, so you can see the entire video, and we'll walk you through it step by step.
We know it takes many hands to make a homestead successful. It is a lot of work. There's a lot of love and a lot of labor that goes into the success of any project, whether it's canning grape juice or butchering chickens. We're always grateful for family and friends that are willing to lend a hand, and we're grateful for the opportunity we have to learn from others on their homesteads while we help assist them in their projects as well. That's one of the reasons we love where we live and how we're living, because we learn so much and we have a lot to share with others. We'll see you guys next time.